Hello, folks. I have a smiley blonde girl next to me today. Why are you smiling so much, Jessica?
I'm excited to be here.
You've been forced to be here today. Tell me why that is.
Because your guest is having internet problems, is what I hear.
Yep. So, the plan was to chat with one of our good buddies today, and he isn't here. So my bestest buddy is here with me today. Right, honey?
That's right. Hello, running public.
Hello, running public. All right. So, Jess, have you been on the podcast before? I'm forgetting.
Just once. We did a Q&A.
You have to talk into the microphone.
Just once we did a Q&A.
All right. And so Jess has, I don't know, what do you have, like a half an hour?
Yeah.
And then she has to go to work. So what we're going to do is we have been bombarded with questions since our last Q&A. In fact, I'm looking at my phone, and I believe I roughly have 14 screenshots. It seems like every time that we do a Q&A, it prompts you guys to ask us more questions. It's like, oh, yeah, I have a question. So we have a bunch of them already, and I figure you could read me the questions and then provide your insight, and then I'll just tell you if I approve or not.
I'll ask the questions.
I think the people have heard my voice enough, and I think that they would really value what you have to say over what I have to say. So I think you should take a stab at the answers first.
Okay. You got it.
All right. You gotta make out with the microphone, like get in real close.
Okay.
That was creepy. All right. So hold on. So I'm gonna ask you the questions until you have to leave, and then I will take this over. I think we have Jess for about 20 minutes maybe, okay? So, Jessica, you live with a run coach, right?
I do.
Right. You're married to a running coach, right?
I am.
So do you think you've learned a few things over the years or what?
I've been forced to learn a few things, yes.
All right. So let's see what you've learned. All right. Michael Vetter says, what is your go-to recovery fuel drink meal after an average running workout?
I know this one. Bobos.
Okay. What is it really?
No.
Is it Bobos?
Okay. Go to recovery fuel drink meal after an average running.
Like, let's say not like a quality day or a long run. Like you went out for like an hour of easy running. What would be your go-to?
I know what you eat. You eat a packet of rice, typically, some eggs, and some hot sauce.
She's right there. So, would you have any other input on, like, what about you personally?
I just think
What's your
eat
go-to?
like a carb source, like a clean carb source and protein source with a little bit of fat. Whether that's adding an avocado or something, but I know that's what you eat.
That's true. So, here's my philosophy on fuel after an average running workout, and actually, I think this is for all workouts. I do eat pretty much the same thing after all of my run workouts, unless it's like the weekend and we're off schedule. But Jessica DeWindt is exactly correct. So it's always a simple carbohydrate source. Like people think like brown rice and a sweet potato or something might be a good option, and those are fine. But quicker assimilated is simple starches like a white rice or a white potato. So for me, it's always white rice and a protein source. And I probably munch on a few Pringles while I'm waiting. We go through Pringles pretty quick in this house, and by we I mean
Kirk.
Me. And I don't think, this is just my philosophy. I've been doing this for a while. Like I don't think you need to cram every expensive recovery drink or bar or thing down your throat immediately afterwards. I truthfully will get done with a quality session or an easy run. Then I'll come back, shower. I'll work on my computer for an hour until I'm actually hungry. And when I'm hungry, I eat. I don't force it until I want it. And I find that works better for me versus like forcing food down when I don't even want it. What's the fun in eating if you're not even hungry yet? And sometimes if I'm hungry right away, I'll eat. But I don't think you need to force it, nor do I think you need to overthink it. The only exception to that would be if you have a quick turnaround time, a night workout followed by a morning workout that matters, or back-to-back race days. Then I'll force something in just like a little bit, like a banana or a Bobos. Jess likes to make fun of me for my obsession with Bobos. Do you have anything to add to this, Jessica?
No, I think that covered it.
What did you eat after your last average workout? Do you remember?
I just finished my workout and I was forced into this episode. But yesterday, I think I had some leftover chicken and rice. So I guess that's...
You're learning from the best.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
She's learning from the best. All right. And yeah, she was at an Orange Theory class, and I said, Jess, I need you right now, Jess.
When will you be home?
I actually just said, when will you be home, with no context. You're my hero. You've come to my call. All right. Next one, Jessica. I want you to answer first again, okay?
Okay.
Remember, get in the mic. Make out with the mic. That's how close you got to be to this mic. You want them to feel like you're actually in their brain, in their ears, in their head, talking to them, right in it.
In it.
All right. For the next Q&A, Scott Lerg says, I recently moved from Arkansas to SLO, California, San Luis Obispo, that would be, and now have mountains. With all the descending, my easy days are taking more out of me than they used to, even if I am staying within my aerobic zones. Is this something I should train through, or should I change my training interval/cycles? Then he says, still hitting my quality sessions, but I'm worried I won't after several weeks of new pounding in the legs, and I'm currently on a 9/10 day cycle. So basically he's saying he moved from flatland to, let's call it, hillier country, and his easy days are taking more out of him than they used to. Do you have any advice for Mr. Scott Lerg? This is layered here. I'm gonna see how smart you are.
So I think that the answer would be is that you still need to have your easy days, of course, because those are important, but that you should maybe take them even easier than you already are? Question mark.
Brilliant. So what I think. Anything else?
I'm going to start with that.
All right. Well, when in doubt, go easier. I think that's actually a pretty good, you're not wrong there. On top of that, I will just add, in addition to the draw of the mountain, Scott, first of all, I hate you because you have access to that beautiful terrain. I know we live the life we choose, but it is great training grounds out there. And so this is a good problem to have. The problem you are running into, Scott, is that you can't stay out of the mountains. And now, even if you're going easy, the descending still has to be done to get back to the trailhead, which is causing, obviously, damage from the eccentric and the pounding. And so what I would suggest for you, Scott, is I would suggest that you temper your enthusiasm with your stoke birds for the mountains, and you consider running more flat terrain on your recovery days. And I know that sucks to hear, but as you acclimate, I think that's important. The second part of my answer would be, you should not change your training. I believe you should train through this. If you're going to absolutely still go in the mountains for your recovery days, because they're there and I don't blame you, you will adapt. Pretty soon, easy descending is not going to cause any residual problems for you. And I don't see that negatively impacting long-term progression. I think it's just like a speed bump. It's like starting a new strength cycle and your legs are smoked for the first couple of weeks before suddenly you have access to them again. And so, those are my two pieces of advice on top of Jessica's brilliant advice, would be to just try to not go in the mountains so often, especially if it's like a day before a quality session that you care about. And two, you will acclimate. People do it all the time. And so hopefully that helps. What do you think of my answer?
That was a little better than mine. Pretty good.
All right. Thank you. Let's see. All right. Okay, this is from a woman, Sarah. Okay, and it says, "Hey guys, I have a question for your next Q&A. I started playing women's professional football a few years ago, and I've tried to maintain OCR hybrid fitness as well to be able to race when football season is over. It has been so hard to maintain endurance during the season. Between 3-hour practices and games, my body doesn't seem to recover enough and to then go and run for long periods of time. What could I do that would be most beneficial to maintain endurance but also not lose my fast stitch? I play running back. Thanks, Sarah. All right, Coach Jessica DeWindt, what do you got?
Right.
What do you think this person should do?
Football, huh?
It's pretty badass, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think about what the question's asking.
So the question is saying like she's having a hard time keeping her running up because football and the demand is making it feel like crap.
Okay.
So how would you work around that is what I'm gathering.
So maybe, Sarah, you could add into your schedule just some very short workouts that focus on fast intervals. So not a lot of them, not a long period of time, but just add those in.
I think that's terrible advice, Sarah. Let me help you out. She's already doing fast stuff at football. She's got... Oh, bless. All right. Sarah, do you see where I'm coming from there?
Yeah.
Okay. So your approach was like, let's not add too much to her plate on top of her football, right? You want to keep it short.
Yeah.
So she's not overloaded. Is that your thought process?
Yeah.
Am I putting words in your mouth, or is that really it?
No, that's right.
Okay. So my advice, assuming 3-hour practices, games, you are doing explosive work, nothing you don't know already, Sarah, and it's pretty badass you're playing football. I don't know how available women's football leagues are. Do you know of any around here?
I do not, no.
What position, if you know any positions, would you play, Jess, if you played football?
Cornerback.
Cornerback?
Yeah.
Do you know what a cornerback does?
Go long. I don't know.
Oh my God.
I don't know.
This is going to be a
Cut that out.
This is going to be a disaster. A cornerback covers the wide receivers. So typically not the biggest or the tallest players, but they're very agile. Cornerback, I think, is one of the hardest positions in football.
Oh.
Actually, it takes a real athlete to only react to somebody else's. Yes, you want to add something?
No, I don't want to sound stupid. I thought they were the people that ran out far, like to the corner.
Like a wide receiver.
Yes.
Okay. It's the person that covers the wide receiver.
Okay. Back to Sarah.
Jessica doesn't watch a lot of sports, Sarah. Unless I force her to. We watch football.
Yeah, we do.
All right. So this is what I think. I don't think you need to worry about losing your fast stitch, which is the verbiage you used. I think the short explosive bursts are going to keep that alive. I went through periods of time where I played adult high-level men's league soccer, which is very different than football because soccer is continuous. But I basically let that be my speed work, and then all I did was focus on time on foot outside of that. And what I mean by that is just like longer recovery runs, long runs that weren't of any sort of pace, whatever. And I think the thing that I'm missing in this question is I don't know what races are on your calendar, nor how that intermixes or intertwines with your football season. So, for example, if they're separate, what I would do if I were you is go to football, go to practice. You're going to develop plenty of power and agility and spring and stitch, so to speak. But you're going to miss that slow, steady burn. So jig your expectations and go out there and run slow and easy or slow and moderate or whatever it is for extended time, and just make sure your aerobic foundation doesn't erode. That's the most important thing, because if you keep your aerobic foundation, Sarah, once you flip the script and decide to go back into purposeful high rocks or hybrid work or OCR, you're going to get that fitness back so quickly, but it will erode if you don't keep your aerobic base. So as much as you want to go get these fast and short intervals in like Jess recommended, I would actually recommend the exact opposite. Just don't erode your foundation. Don't let it erode. If you have to go out there and crawl because you're fatigued and sore from football, I do not care. But get the time in on feet, and you can always build from there. What do they say? They say the bigger your base, the higher the pyramid can be built. But if you let your base erode, your pyramid will not be built very high. So keep your base in the mix. Focus on low-grade time on feet. Don't let go of that. That is your foundation. and then find comfort in the fact that football is going to take care of the rest. And when you decide for it to come together, when races matter, you're not going to be very far out from feeling sharp and race ready again. I'm going to leave it at that. Anything you'd like to add, Jess?
No, Sarah, you got this.
What enthusiasm you bring. All right. Let's see the next one here. Okay. And again, I'm going to give you a stab at this. So,
okay.
Q&A question / clarifying question. This is from Kaylee. Coming back from injury, I've been cross-training consistently and am now reintroducing running, keeping my mileage low and wanting to supplement with cross-training where otherwise plans would call for easy runs. Should I be concerned with keeping my heart rate low while cross-training like I would with running? Or should I / can I be doing mainly threshold heart rate while cross-training? I want to be putting the work, capital work, in while I can't be putting the running in, but I don't want to take the wrong approach / misstep in training wrong system if keeping it low might help me more. Then she says, love the pod and cannot get enough. Thanks for any and all information. I think I've consumed every other episode related to this. So, coming back from injury, I'll break it down for you. She wants to know if she should be going hard on her cross-training days or not, and how that would mix with running as she's coming back from injury and not running much. What do you think?
Yes, I believe I know this one.
Oh.
So, Kaylee, if you are fully back and doing running, you want to follow what your cross-training would be the same as your running would be. Meaning.
No, you're right. I'm listening.
If you have an easy day scheduled to run, you're going to want to do an easy day, keep your heart rate low during your cross-training. But if you're training threshold, if you are running, then you would do the same thing cross-training.
Is that the end? She looks proud of herself. Good job, hon. So you're right. There's a lot to add to that, but it's a great start. So the first thing that I do, Kaylee, is depending on how long the injury is, I actually still keep an athlete on the run programming schedule and then translate to cross-training, step one. If it's a short-term injury especially, meaning like, okay, we're only going to run 3 days a week and we have to cross-train the rest and pick and choose the battles. So let's say coach has mile repeats on the docket and it takes you 8 minutes to run your mile repeats. Well, now you're doing 8-minute hard repeats on the assault bike of your choosing with the same amount of rest. You time translate from distance, or you can time translate to time translate. A 30-minute tempo run now becomes a 30-minute tempo bike, let's say, or whatever it is. And that's the first step. Now, if you end up finding yourself into like a cross-training cycle where you're like, yep, I'm committed to this for 8 weeks, then I switch and I scrap the original run program and then I design actual cross-training work. I don't know necessarily what your injury is or is not responding to, or what the injury is. So typically the safest bet is when you're returning to running that you actually don't keep the running quality. You keep the running more recovery or even steady gray zone running, honestly, when you're coming back, because your heart rate's going to jack up when you run anyways. And it ends up being a lot of gray zone, like unpurposeful work. And I don't even mind that much in the beginning when you're ramping up. But all that to say, I think the cross-training days should be the big punches of your week. You get on your rower or your assault bike or your ski erg and you go to frickin' town. You don't need to stay in threshold. You go hard and you see what kind of cardiac response you can get from these efforts. And so I would go hard in cross training, easy to easy, moderate running. And because you're not taking impact when you cross train, like the 80-20 principle, 80% easy, 20% hard, really goes to like 70-30 or 60-40. You can get away with more time with an elevated heart rate if cross-training is a large part of the equation, because you're not taking you're taking metabolic damage, you're not taking structural damage, because you're not pounding nearly as much or hard. So you don't have to be as concerned with 80-20. It can shift a little, and if you're erring on the side of a little more work because of cross-training, I think it's only going to benefit you once you're fully back to running. And once you're fully back to running, you reduce back to 80-20 principles. But if you burn a little too hot in cross-training, Kaylee, I think you're only going to be better for it. So I hope that answers your question. Hard cross training, easy to easy, moderate running. Follow that script for the first 2 to 6 weeks, depending on your injury and how much you're running. And then we start splitting hairs more specifically on what we're doing with our running, how we're scheduling our quality sessions, and then how that relates to cross training. And then in an ideal world, you're eventually running your quality days and cross training your recovery days. And then the script flips. Kind of like Jess, I suppose, was outlining, like, if it's a recovery day, go easy, follow the same heart rate principles, that way. So hopefully that was clarifying and helpful. Anything you want to add to that? You set me up nicely. You could have expanded a little more, but it wasn't bad.
All right.
Anything? Do you want to add anything?
No, Kaylee, I hope you recover soon.
Really sweet, Jessica. All
All
right.
right, next one.
All right. So how long do you have, Jess? Do you have
maybe one more question?
one more question, and then you guys are stuck just with me for the duration. So,
Wah, wah.
all right. Hey guys, question for the pod. This is John Larson. I just ran the Michigan Super yesterday and got absolutely cooked. Thinking about how strong y'all's fitness must have been at your OCR peak. Do you still think / ever thought that Spartan OCR training is or was the most well-rounded form of training? I'm actually going to ask Jess this question, and if you could elaborate, do so.
Okay.
And I ask because, Jess, when you and I first started dating, the first 3 or 4 years pre-COVID, anyways, you got into Spartan racing. You landed on an elite podium. You were second North American champs in your age group when it was at its peak. Hundreds of people were in your age group in West Virginia. And you almost won. In fact, if you wouldn't have failed like 5 things, you would have won for sure. So, point being, what do you think of your fitness now versus your fitness back when you were training like that?
So I do think that the Spartan stuff was the most well-rounded training that I'd ever done. Not that I've been in sports my whole life or anything, but I was definitely the strongest I had ever been, and I had the best running fitness I had ever had. So I guess I don't know how much I can elaborate on that, but I do think as far as well-rounded, all-around fitness, that was the best I had ever been.
Do you think you were better at running then or better at running now?
I had more endurance then, but I don't have, 2-hour long runs on Saturdays anymore. I kind of do, right now I'm doing Orange Theory, which is an hour class. You're doing 30 minutes of running and then 30 minutes of lifting, and I really like that for where I'm at right now. But if you ask me to go out and do a 2-hour long run, I could do it, but I wouldn't be in as good of shape as to do it as I used to be.
Okay, what about if somebody said go do mile repeats? Do you think you'd run 5 by 1 mile faster on average now or back when you were OCR training?
I think I'd be faster now.
Okay. But you had more endurance. You could go longer. If it was a 2-hour race, your old self would kick your current self's ass.
Absolutely.
Okay, and strength-wise, can you do more pull-ups now or could you do more pull-ups then?
More pull-ups then for sure.
Were you stronger then or stronger now?
Stronger then.
Okay.
Yes.
So you think you were in your best shape then overall?
I do.
Okay. Do you have to go or?
Go ahead.
Okay. So here's the thing, John. It's a really good question. I have maintained the habits that I developed during my big OCR push. Even though I'm not running OCR right now. So, in fact, I weigh a few pounds more. I have more muscle on me, and I'm actually stronger than in my OCR days. I don't necessarily know why that is other than consistency over time. Like my squat is up right now compared to when I was in season, and things like that. So I don't see a big difference, but I also think that's a key part of why I'm kicking ass at 41. I think that the strength component is what many endurance athletes don't start focusing on enough as they age, and they lose their ability for power output over duration, and they slowly fizzle out. That and then overuse injuries become way more prevalent as you age. So this is my own personal bias, the lens I look at this through. So I've stayed on all of those components, other than I'm not putting buckets on my shoulders, right, and carrying them. I'm in the gym lifting heavy. I'm running threshold. I'm running VO2 max intervals, and I'm putting in mileage. I would say the one area that I have regressed in would be very aggressive mountainous terrain, long climbing on crap terrain. I bet you my old self would kick my current self's butt in that, but that's about it. And so I think it's a good question. I think for the masses, you are absolutely going to be in your best shape training for something like OCR hybrid. I think as you age and hopefully become wiser, you realize that type of training is going to make you your best in your 40s. And don't let go of that. Don't stop being an athlete. Don't just be a runner. That's not going to make you your fastest, especially as you age. You can get away with it until your mid-30s, until you can't. And then you're going to watch that fitness slowly drip away unless you keep your structure sound. So that's a PSA, I suppose, in my own personal bias, but I've lived it. So very roundabout way to answer your question, but hopefully somebody got something out of that.
All right, guys.
Well, you got to talk in the microphone.
All right, guys.
All right, guys, what?
I got to get out of here. So.
All right, you nailed it. I know it. You're literally in your gym clothes still,
Yeah.
and I put you under my pressure, so you
Yep,
did good.
I'm no expert, so thanks for putting up with me, and Kirky's all yours.
All right, thank you, honey.
Bye-bye.
All right. Now you get a monologue, folks. Have a good time at work. Bye. All right, so let's keep this train rolling. Next one here, let me see. So this is a longer one. I got 2 screenshots to get to this one. This is from Emma J. Training. Hiya. I have a High Rocks running question for the podcast, please. So we're noticing some hybrid theme here, hybrid OCR theme. So for context, I would call myself an average High Rocks athlete, but I did compete at Worlds this year and have high aspirations for next season. I run a high 19-minute 5K and a 42-minute 10K, and my running is definitely my weakness compared to other pro females. I've started with a new coach, an elite hybrid athlete, in parentheses, and one big thing I'm noticing is there's no long, steady runs. Instead of a typical Sunday long run where I would previously run approximately 14 to 18K, and then in parentheses says, I haven't done this for months, I have alternating pace 10Ks in which my heart rate does not stay low as I'm running faster than race pace for half of it. I'm running approximately 35 to 40 kilometers per week. So if we're going to do the math for us American-centric folks, she's probably running somewhere between 8 and 12 miles for her long runs, and she's probably 20 to 24 miles a week. That's what she's saying. I do feel like this is building my fitness well and getting me used to grinding, but with so much talk about zone 2 work and base building, etc., I'd love to know your thoughts on this. When I suggested adding in more volume, they warned against it due to junk miles, and to be fair, I'm doing about 10 hours of training per week with all the strength and erg work too, just nothing very long and steady. Would love to hear your thoughts on this specifically for High Rocks training. Also love the pod. It gets me through those grueling fartlek 10Ks on the treadmill every week. And he said, also, I'd like to caveat and say the coaching is great. Just notice a difference in method. So I think when it comes to questions like this, the cop-out answer is me saying I don't have all the context I need. And I'm going to lead with saying I don't have all the context I need. Meaning, Emma, when is your next race? Is your next race 4 months out or 1 month out? Is your next race a training through race, or is it an A race? What are your perceived strengths and weaknesses? It sounds like running is one of the things that you feel like you're notably slower than. How do you feel about your strength, right? I think these are some questions that I would have to ask. And I'm sure your coach and you discussed all this, right? So I'm sure that the prescription was purposeful based on what said coach thought was best for you. So I'm just saying, like, I don't have all the facts. That's my first, I'm saving my butt is what I'm saying. All right. Now here's my next thing. And I have this conversation with every hybrid athlete I onboard depending on where we're at in their season. And the conversation is this: how do you become the best runner? Well, you focus on your running. Okay, I'm just going to start with that. How do you become the strongest athlete you can become? You focus on that, right? Now, what I find often that new hybrid athletes do, and I'm not calling you new, I'm sort of talking to other people who are listening, is that they think the first thing they need to do is start getting used to mashing it all together. High rocks specific workouts, simulating the race so they understand how it feels. That's all good and well. And I think it's very important to do so. At the same time, I think you put a cap on your run potential and you put a cap on your strength potential if you're doing too much of that work. So when it goes back to the question of like, when is your next race? First thing I say is, okay, if we have 4 months until your next race, what I am doing with you, Emma, is I am taking you and I'm going to train you classically as a runner. We're going to build up your threshold. I'm going to have you out to 90-minute long runs at minimum. And then I'm going to have you either doing a strength endurance program in the gym or a high power out, low rep scheme program in the gym, depending on your strengths and weaknesses. I'm going to keep them completely separate. I'm going to treat you as a classically training runner and a classically trained power athlete at the same time, but keep them separate. You're going to see very little mixed wads. You're going to see very little fancy. I'm not going to get too cute too early. And then once I feel like we've established good routines on both ends of the fitness spectrum, then finally we're going to start mashing them together. High rocks quality sessions, a lot of machine work, things like that. Now in the first phase, I may have you doing recovery work on the rower and the ski erg and all of that, but we're not really putting a focus on power output or metrics there quite yet. Now, if you're in the middle of season, do I think there's a place for a 90-minute to 2-hour long run? I do. If you don't have anything coming up in the next 3 weeks, I think you could justify a long aerobic zone 2 run, and I think you should do that. But if I were coaching you, again, I don't have all the facts, so this coach could be doing exactly what I would do if I was in his or her shoes. I would be extending these things out without question. Think about it this way, Emma. A high rocks is the equivalent of roughly, let's call it a 10-mile race effort, even though you're only running 5 miles and then the rest is machine work. You have to be prepared for 10 miles worth of endurance to go put out for 10 miles time equivalent, roughly. A high rocks elite 15 male can run, let's say, high rocks in 55 to 60 minutes. Guess what? I bet that athlete can go run a 10 mile in 55 to 60 minutes. An elite high rocks female can complete a high rocks in 60 to 65 minutes. I bet you that elite high rocks female can run a 10 mile in roughly 60 to 65 minutes. So how's your 10-mile fitness, Emma? Do you feel confident you could go out and crush 10 miles, which in your world is what, 16K? Could you go do that right now with confidence? If not, I think you're not running enough. Hope that didn't hurt anybody's feelings, but that's what I'm going to leave it at. So let me go through this here. It's a little interesting because doing this on my own, because Brakken always brings like something to the table that I wouldn't think of. And I have a feeling when he listens to this, he's going to be like, I would have added this or I would have added that. But where we're at, you're getting a one-sided, skewed to Kirk's only opinion Q&A today with a little Jess Spice, which is now done. Okay, we got another longer one. These are some very thought-out questions today. Aprar Elawad. Aprar says, hello from Ireland. Massive fan here. Thanks for all the help and motivation. I have a question about shoes, please. Oh, Brakken, I need you right now, Brakken. But I have come a long ways in my shoe knowledge, folks, so let's see what I can do with this one. I have recently started taking my commitment to running seriously. I come at it from a background of weightlifting, Muay Thai, yoga, and Pilates, all activities that have your feet connected to the ground / barefoot. As a result, I am most comfortable being close to the ground as much as possible. I have been running in zero-drop shoes, Vivo Barefoot. I love them and enjoy the connection. I wear cushiony socks for a bit of comfort because I run through the city and the streets are sometimes sketchy. I am now considering adding carbon-plated shoes for some of the runs and for my races, especially as my races are now increasing in distance. So that was all from for context from Aprar. Aprar's questions. 2 questions here. Is it worth my while to do so? And does the zero drop make me stronger, or am I gaining nothing? And where do I start? Do you have a recommendation? So many brands, and I don't have the budget to test a few for now. Should I stick to the 8mm drop or go lower to bridge the gap? I'm going to go do a gait analysis, but I want your opinion first. Thank you, and sorry for the length. Best. Okay. I would for sure kick to Brakken here, but I do have some thoughts for you. So, I find, first of all, my one qualm with the super shoe craze, right? And every brand has one or multiple super shoes, is that they're trending higher and higher heel to toe drop. The original Nike Alpha Fly was 4mm drop, and now it's 8 or 10. A lot of these shoes at minimum are 6mm drop, for example, to help with forward propulsion, right? Your toe is lower than your heel, supposed to push you forward a little more. That doesn't work for me. You want to know where I feel my best Aprar is in my zero drop ultras. I feel so smooth in those. I'm not much of a forefoot striker naturally. When you put a heel wedge in me, I feel less efficient. So the first thing is I would stay away from any super shoe that has an 8mm drop, no matter what. Just don't even entertain it. I would make sure that you have a 6mm or less drop. And for example, Ultra has a super shoe right now, and I don't remember the name, but it may be your best step or your first approach into the super shoe is transition to another zero drop Ultra. If you haven't had any lower leg issues or foot issues from your Vivo barefoot, meaning Achilles and calf, or you're starting to get some sort of like metatarsalgia or anything in your feet just from the zero drop, we'll call it, and lack of maybe cushion underneath, I think switching to Ultra and their super shoe would be 1 or 2. I don't know the model. Again, this is where Brakken could tell you. Might be a good decision for you. Otherwise, just because your feet are used to barefoot and all of that between your Muay Thai, yoga, Pilates, all that, doesn't mean you're not going to respond well to something with more stack height. So I don't think you should be super scared of that. I just would watch the heel to toe drop. I just wouldn't go 8 or above. I would go 6 or below. So make sure you're looking for that. And then from there, my other suggestion would be to not run in them too much. So maybe you start and you run in it once a week for your quality session that matters or whatever it is, and just see how you respond. Do that for 2 weeks. You know what? I still feel pretty good. Great. Now you can add that super shoe in for, let's say, Tuesday quality and a Saturday quality long run. That would be fine as well. So just seed how frequently you're using the new shoe cautiously. Once you've proven to yourself over, 4 to 6 weeks that, hey, I still feel good, great. Then you can sort of open the floodgates on it. But my piece of advice is to not go too steep with your heel to toe drop. And I would look into the Ultra. I could look it up right now. I just don't want to take the time since I'm the only one talking. And I bet you there's some more options out there that I don't know of, which means if you want to slide into Brakken's DM, please do. Otherwise, we can maybe message you on the back end about this, but I hope that was somewhat helpful. Okay, next question. Miranda Huber. Miranda Huber says, for the next Q&A, exclamation point, how do you set trail pace and finish time goals different from road races, specifically for out-of-state races in new places? I'm running the Still Hollow Trail Run Half Marathon in Tennessee in 2 weeks, and I'm trying to solidify my pacing strategy and goals. Optional additional info if it helps. My fastest half marathon is 1:56. My fastest and only trail half is 2:30. I recently did an easy to moderate trail half training run at 2:40. Trails can vary dramatically. So do you throw pace out the window and just go off of effort? I'm thinking I'll set a goal to finish around 2:20 to 2:30, but start around a 2:40 pace and try to negative split if it's going well. Is that window too big? Such a common question, Miranda, and one that there's a lack of clarity on the appropriate answer because of one 4-letter word. Vert. I know some of you listening were thinking it. Vert. What's the vert? What's the elevation profile? Tennessee can be awfully hilly. You could take the same half marathon on the roads. Let's say I ran my last road half in an hour 11, and you could take that and put that in the Rocky Mountains, and it could take me over twice as long. Suddenly, an hour 11 becomes 2:22. It's the same distance, right? So, but I mean, I couldn't even begin to guess the pacing. Now, I know that's not the case in Tennessee because you can't climb exponentially most places for 2 consecutive hours, let's say. So, first thing is pace doesn't matter. The only time pace matters if you hit a flat, clean section of trail that's firm packed, and you can quick spot check your watch for it to tell you what pace per mile you're running in that moment. That's a good sort of like keeping myself in check way to go about it. I had a trail race at Afton State Park here, I don't know, 2 weeks ago or something, 2 or 3 weeks ago. And it's up and down, and it's rocky and technical, and there's grass at times. And then there are some sections where it's pretty flat and pretty packed. And when I hit those sections, I took a glance at my watch. It told me I'm running X pace, and I said, good, I know I'm keeping the pedal pressed down. So I suggest taking segments of that race in which you find yourself in fast and flat, and you speed check yourself. Okay, my roughly 2-hour half marathon on the roads is, let's say it's 9-minute pace or whatever it is. Well, now, if I'm hitting a flat section and it's pretty clean running and I see my watch is telling me I'm running 9-minute pace, I know I'm giving an honest effort and it's correlating at least to my road effort. From there, it's all about perceived exertion. And it's really hard to make time goals because we don't know the terrain exactly. If I were you, Miranda, I would be on that elevation course profile like a hawk, whether it's on their website or you can find somebody who did the race last year. See how many hills, see what the elevation gain and loss is. My rule of thumb is for every 100 feet of gain per mile, you may be losing 30 to 60 seconds, 30 seconds for sure, more, just because of the elevation profile. So if it's a half marathon and it has 1,000 feet of gain, you might add 10 minutes to that time right off the bat, just knowing there's gain. And then from there, what's the technicality? How annoying is the footing? What are the twists and turns like, right? And so 100 feet of gain can easily add a minute per mile, especially on the trails. So look at that and then start gauging expectations. Okay, how much vertical feet am I gaining? And it can add, if it's steep terrain or you're not that savvy at hill running, it could add 2 minutes for that mile. If you have 100 feet of gain per mile. And I'm just using that as a frame of reference. 100 feet of gain a mile, about a minute per mile for the average endurance athlete. So I would look at that and then start setting goals. But really, you got to go out and you got to race it. And then once you do, you can set goals next time objectively because you're going to have more information or data. So hopefully that was helpful. That's how I break down races and then start formulating what time approximately I should be prepared for on the fueling, the hydration front. All of those things is vert and vert related to distance, right? Okay. We got another one. We got one from Gushu Studios. Let's see. Let's go with Gushu Studios. Hey guys, big fan of the show. Love hearing all the listener questions, so here's mine. If you could prescribe just one tempo workout for an ultra runner, 50 to 100 mile races, to add to the rotation, what would it be? I've got years of good volume under my belt, but it would be nice to be a bit faster. I've started doing hill interval workouts and love those, but is there any benefit to flatter, faster work for someone who's focused on 100-mile races? I usually do desert races, so while there is some vert, there's often some very runnable, flatter terrain too. Thanks for all you do. Anj from New Mexico. Anj, I'm going to air somebody else's dirty laundry here in answering your question. I won't use last names, but I had a conversation with an athlete I coach, Justin. This is just yesterday. I'm recording here on a Thursday, and I chatted with him during our monthly athlete call on Wednesday, yesterday. Justin is running the Eastern States 100, and we are just over 3 weeks out from the Eastern States 100. And in his build-up, he had run 50Ks and such. And Justin is in school. Justin is a full-time, has a full-time job. And Justin, I am going to say, and he would admit this, and he got sick, dropped the ball on his training, missed a lot of training runs, did not get the volume in. And it's our first year working together. And he was running notably less than last year because life was easy and things were good and he didn't have these stressors, and he got more work done when he was self-coaching. For better or worse, it is what it is. And him and I have had these conversations. And Justin had his first 50K. It had like 12,000 feet of vert under our, coaching together. And he probably had been running half volume. But the difference for Justin is that he used to just go put in miles. He put in miles, put time in on feet, a lot of low-grade time on feet, and did very little quality work. And even though Justin's lead into this 50K with 12,000 feet of gain wasn't great, half the volume he was running last year before the same 50K, guess who ran an hour and a half faster this year? Justin. On significantly less volume, in an unideal lead-up with getting sick, Justin ran, I think it was Justin, you'll have to tell me if I'm right or wrong. It was like an hour and a half faster. And the difference, and this is his words, not mine, is quality makes up for lack of volume. And honestly, I could not agree more. My first 50K that I raced, I was struggling with injury, and I ran 17 miles the week prior. The week prior to that was 27. The week prior to that was 32. I was about a 30-mile-a-week athlete. Yes, I was supplementing with cross-training to get my aerobic volume in, but I was making sure my quality days were big. I went out there, and my body gave me everything I could have asked for. I ran just 4:03 with 6,000 feet of gain and won the race by 23 minutes. And it wasn't because I was running 100-mile weeks, brother. It was because I was purposefully hitting threshold and VO2 max interval work on top of my aerobic volume cross-training. And so I know that's a long way to get to my answer, Anj, but you're leaving time on the table by not doing focused and purposeful quality work. Anj, if let's say you are running 80 miles a week, I have no idea what you're running. I would rather see you run 55 with 2 high output sessions a week versus 70 or 80 miles of all low-grade time on feet. You will be a better ultra runner for it. There's a reason that some of the best, Killian Jornet or John Elbin, comes down and rips quarter-mile repeats on the track every week on top of his mountain work and on top of their 100-mile weeks or whatever, is because that efficiency piece and that power output is so valuable for durability in the back half. And so 100% there is a huge benefit to flatter and faster work or hill threshold or tempo work or repeats. I am to a certain point, quality over quantity. And if you can't get the quantity in running, then supplement aerobically via cross-training. But I don't have all the context here again, and I know I say that a lot, but I would bet my bank account that you would be a better ultra runner if you put in purposeful speed, especially flat, which seems your particular question pertains to with desert ultras. So if you have more specific questions about how to do that, you know where to find us. All right. I got 2 more for you. And again, today's episode was meant to be 90 minutes or longer with an athlete, and this athlete is living out of his camper, and his service sucked, and we kept getting cut off. So we got a little shorter episode for you today. Now, this next question is from an athlete I coached, John Hartland. I worked with John Hartland Sr., his dad, and now I work with John Hartland Jr., the kid. For context, John is not an endurance athlete by trade. He's, let's call it 6'2", 200 plus pounds. He doesn't have the traditional 5'7", $120 frame, and he's pursuing his endurance pursuits for the first real time with real purposeful training and vigor together. And I think we've been working together for, the last 5-6 months. John likes to ask questions, big questions. He's a curious guy. So this is where this stems from. John is running Black Canyon 100K. He's never gone close to that distance coming up, and we're getting him ready for that. So Javelina 100K. He says, Kirk, I've got a series of questions for you that could be podcast fodder or not. I want to clarify off the top. I am not looking past Javelina. It's a 60-plus mile kick in the balls just waiting for me. It's no foregone conclusion. I think my question leads more towards excitement, intrigue, or the desire to do more. John's a curious guy, and I like that in an athlete. He's always asking and wondering. He says, as a man who has recently been deciding on your future goals, objective, what you want to get out of your running, other than necessity, how did you decide? I've been at a mental crossroads. I have a few ultras in mind for 2025. Granted, everything continues to go well. In all honesty, I'm usually just excited by the idea of trying to go after them, and then I do some of your workouts and I think, hell nah, or fuck, that sucked. Am I seriously considering a race with a lot of this involved? And then I can't decide why those races excite me other than the fact they do. I can't pin a reason to it. I'm going to keep going here. No entries are open until late this year anyways, and yes, wait until you're through Javelina and then wait 2 more weeks is a viable answer. And yet most days I wonder, and most days I wonder. So that's the end of his first question. So the question is, really, as a man who has recently been deciding on your future goals, objectives, what you want to get out of running, other than necessity, how did you decide? And John, the answer is as simple as it could possibly be. John, I scratched my itches. I had an itch, I scratched it, and I chased it full force. I wanted to learn about OCR. I sat at home on Christmas Day, and the Spartan Race World Championships popped up on NBC when I was at my family gathering, and I said, what is that? I didn't know the sport existed, John. I ignored my family for the next hour as I was glued to the TV watching these beasts of human beings carry buckets and sandbags up these mountains and suffering immensely. And I said, I got to scratch that itch. I got to do that. And I pushed it and I pursued it hard for 4 or 5 years. Gave it my everything. Suddenly it didn't itch anymore. The scratch was gone, which meant I needed the next thing. I wanted the next thing. And COVID came and it was convenient because I had some time. And I got curious about ultras. And I said, I'm going to run some 50Ks. And I ran 37 miles on my 37th birthday. I ran 3 50Ks. And then I kind of got tired of just going long and slow. And slow objective, of course. I did well at them. And I thought, see how fast I can get now. I've did that. That itch has been scratched. And now I have these pursuits of setting shorter trail race records as a master's athlete, still winning these courses. And then, of course, now my current pursuit of going sub 15 in the 5K, which excites me. It's an itch I still have to scratch. It still itches like hell, John. And so the answer to that question is you need to scratch the itch. What is itching and what needs scratching? And pursue that. And right now, there's no question where your itch is. You are so ultra curious, it's unbelievable, John. So you need to scratch those itches. But you're right. You haven't done Javelina yet, John. You don't know how you're going to feel when that's done. Maybe that scratches the itch and you're like, nope. Or that fire boils even more and you want to master it. We don't have the answer to that yet, but I do know that you're enjoying this process. And I do know that it's having you feeling invigorated, motivated, and curious. And if you are those 3 things, John, you're on the right track, right? And if you're hating your life during some of these workouts, but still coming back for more knowingly, it's also a sign you're on the right track. So my answer is you need to scratch the itches. It's not going to go away on its own. An itch rarely does. And so that is how I base my decisions. What itch feels like it needs to be scratched? What box have I not checked yet? And sometimes I'll stay on the same box and keep checking the same one until it doesn't feel right, or scratching the same itch until it doesn't feel right. I hope that was helpful. He has a 2-part question. Second part is progression. I am beyond pleased with how this year has gone, and this is not a commentary of I want to be better now. John's improving immensely, folks, by the way. That being said, I don't know what I don't know. What would be unrealistic for 2025 in terms of ultra goals? Let's agree I don't have any super stupid ideas like winning one. What are goals for ultras next year, you would think? John, I don't think there's a high probability that goes well. For example, if I picked an ultra with significant incline, would you find that reasonable we could do well at? or that it's just not in line with my progression. In short, I'm thinking of what comes next and just can't quite nail anything down. I also can't decide what makes sense and what verges on stupid. And transparency, when John sent me this email, my response says, John, you think too much, period. And also I'll get to this in the next Q&A. And both of those were honest and true and factual. John, you think too much, but I like that you think too much. Progression. I think that we look too far into the future often, and it muddles what we're doing today. I struggle personally to live in the present. I'm thinking about the past often. I'm thinking about the future often. And sometimes it takes away from today. And not to get too woo-woo with that, but I don't want that to be the case with you. You're going to get the most out of this training process if you focus on the now and your first carrot dangling, which is javelina. We get through javelina, and then we decide. Now, you can put in for lotteries, and you can set yourself up in case you would like to. Because who knows, maybe you're going to be all in and want more. So do that. You can put in for the lotteries and you can set yourself up to have the opportunity. But honestly, John, I wouldn't think any further than javelina until it's checked. It'd be different if you've done 4 ultras already and you knew your place in this world, but you don't. And so we need to wait. Again, you can set yourself up to have opportunities in the future, but you can't know how you're going to feel until you know how you're going to feel. And so trying to put the cart in front of the horse is a mistake in this way. And I don't know if I have much more to add than that. I do think you're stubborn as hell, John. I think you're capable of great things. You've been a fantastic student, and I trust that you will succeed in what you choose. I just don't want you to make that decision yet. And we'll have that conversation next time we talk as well. But I think I'm going to leave it there. And then I have one more question here. All right. Okay, interesting one. And this is something we had to think about a good bit last year, where I live in central Minnesota, Twin Cities area. Haven't had to worry about it this year. Micah Tuttle says, Q&A question for your West Coast listeners. It is currently quite smoky in my town with an AQI of around 170 today, and I don't expect it to drop into the green, less than 50 for the rest of the summer. How to adjust? Just live on the treadmill? It is tough to do longer efforts without going crazy. My current approach is under 100 normal activity, 100 to 150 I will switch to the bike or just easy running, and above 150, no outdoor activity. This is definitely already more risk tolerant than many people are going to be okay with. All right, so here we don't need to get down my own personal beliefs on what we breathe in, but just know that I have a degree in naturopathic medicine, homeopathics, holistic nutrition, herbology, frickin' cleansing. I could help you with that, right? Some woo-woo Eastern medicine stuff. I think the 2 absolute worst things, 3 things. What you eat really matters. When it goes in your body, it's assimilated and it becomes you, right? 2, what you put on your skin matters. Bath and Body Works lotion with all the chemicals and fragrance and scents is so toxic. Your stupid fake self-tanner, your makeup, your body wash that smells like lilacs. Oh my God, that stuff is so bad for you. It absorbs right into your skin instantly, and your body has to process it. And that's a big workload on your filtering organs, not to mention creates systemic inflammation. And the third thing is what you breathe in matters. Whether it's perfume or cologne, I think that stuff is so bad for you. Whether it's you spill gas on your feet in the gas station and hotbox yourself in the car. Whether it's cigarette smoke. Whether it's smoke from a fire. Those 3 things you need to be ultra cautious with. What am I eating? What am I putting on my skin? And what am I breathing in? So my answer for you is if that AQI is up, and for me, it's 100 is my limit. I won't go outside no matter what. If it's over 100, I don't think that's worth the risk. I think you're gonna inflame those alveoli and your bronchial tubes, and you're gonna have a little more systemic or mucus in your membranes and your lungs, and it's gonna just set you back just a bit. Not to mention, like, then your body had that carcinogenic particle is going to get filtered through your bloodstream and have to be sorted out by your filtering organs as well. Some of that stuff can sit in muscle or fat tissue. And I just don't think it's worth it. Like, I think it's better to put on Happy Gilmore for the 100th time and get on your treadmill and just live to fight another day. I think toxic overload is very real in our lives in modern day society. I think it comes everywhere. And I think heavy breathing in that smoke isn't a tough guy move. It's a stupid guy move. And I'm not just talking to you. I just don't think it's worth it. I just don't think it's worth it. And I'm as tough as I think most people are out there. And I consider myself a mentally tough badass that doesn't shy away from anything. But I also believe that the things that are in our environment and breathed in can slowly chip away at our health. And I'm not saying running outside is going to be doom or gloom. I just don't think why risk it. And I stand by the fact that the stuff we eat, put on our skin, and breathe in, if you're going to buy lotion, none of that synthetic crap. Keep it as low ingredient list as possible so that, because whatever's going on your skin is going directly in your body. Within 3 minutes, that stuff is soaked into your skin and filtering through your bloodstream, believe it or not. And the same goes for what you breathe in. That's why you can take one puff off a joint and then suddenly be high for the next 6 hours off of one puff. That gets into your bloodstream, right? And then it circulates through your body and your brain and all that. And so, not to beat on a dead horse as I'm starting to do, but everybody has their threshold. For me, it's 100 or over, not a chance. And sometimes, like, if I can just see the haze in the air, or I walk outside and I'm like, smells like smoke, AQI says it's 75 or something. No, I'm turning right around, going inside. You can take that for what you will, but I just don't think it's worth it there. And that is that. All right. I got through everything, folks. I know this has been a bit of a monologue for you. I'm sure it would have been nice to have Brakken's silky, smooth, sultry voice in the mix with mine. But that's the cards we've been dealt today. And I told Brakken, I said, you know what, Brakken, we deserve a damn break once in a while. We're going on vacations, and he's running to the city to record a half an hour away so we can get Wi-Fi, and then going back to hang out with his family on a vacation. It's a broken vacation. And so we've had the discussion that in these cases moving forward, in the past, if you guys have been with us for a while, I'm on vacation, camping, and I will go rent a hotel room so I can record a 2-hour episode, pay $110 so I can get on their Wi-Fi, and then leave and go back to my vacation. I've done that on multiple occasions, and we just decided that is silly. That is silly. When one man is gone, the ship will still be crewed by the one man remaining, and that's what you got today. So thank you guys for listening. I know this is a little shorter. Hopefully you can find a tolerable second-tier podcast to finish out your long run, and appreciate the heck out of you guys. Love you, and we will both be talking to you next week on our Training Tuesday and long run episodes. Thanks, guys.